Hi there, I'm Alistair Atkin from Atkin Guitars. Thanks for joining us on the channel. We're going to show you a group of guitars today that we've just finished, and it's rare that we should have all of these in stock at once. We've got these LG47s with these large pickguards, and I'm holding the Sunburst version with mahogany back and sides. It's got a standard aged finish, and then we've got a candy apple red version with a heavy aged finish with the large pickguard, mahogany back and sides as well, which is a good comparison really to have between the aged and the heavy aged. And then finally we've got a natural top version with mahogany back and sides, the large pickguard. And we've got a little variety of Indian rosewood fingerboards and bridges compared to Santos rosewood. I'm going to tell you a little bit about these guitars because the LG47 has become a bit of a favourite of mine, and I wasn't expecting it to. We first started building these about 10 or 12 years ago at the request of Rudy Bolts from the Fellowship of the Acoustics in the Netherlands. Rudy and I would often sit up at night Facebook messaging each other, and he'd be asking me, can you make one of these? Can you make one of these? How about this? How about that? And these conversations would go on for hours. Yeah, he insisted that we made a slope shoulder LG. So I thought, well, we'd better do that because he's been a great dealer for us for years and he knows his stuff. We built a couple, and I wasn't actually looking forward to them that much because they didn't appeal to me to look at. But it wasn't until I heard them that I realised how cool they were. And I think it's a combination of the tone woods, but also the way we build and the lightness of the way we build that really makes a guitar like this sing. So it's become a really popular model for us. These three have all got the large tortoiseshell pickguard, which I think looks really cool. There's an option between this pickguard and the standard sort of teardrop version. Yeah, these three as a sort of little group of guitars offer something quite interesting to sort of compare. So yeah, we've got the Sunburst version. All of these guitars have baked Sitka tops, and all of the bracing is baked as well. Baking tops makes so much sense. It dries them out and gives you a lot of stability, but it also ages the top and gives you that sort of dry vintage sound, and I think that's a large part of why our guitars sound the way they do. They've all got African mahogany back and sides and an African mahogany neck. So this guitar has an Indian rosewood fingerboard and bridge, which isn't standard actually, that's an upcharge for us, but it's lovely and dark. It's harder to get hold of now than Santos is for us. So we do have to charge a premium, but it's a premium that might be worth paying for some people. All of our guitars are set up with the Plek machine, and we use a fret wire from Dunlop. It's 1mm high and 2mm wide. Maple head veneer, and we ebonize all of our maple to give it that sort of nice dark vintage feel. The decals are golden. On this one it says the 47. That's our own banner in-house design that we use on all of our slope shoulder guitars now. We're using Clousson tuners. They're aged in-house, 3 on a plate. Pretty classic for a model like this. Depth-wise, the bodies are 115mm deep at the base end here. This one has a 43mm nut and a 55mm string spacing. So now let's move on to the natural finish LG47. This one is actually going to Acoustic Vibes just outside Phoenix in the US. This one's got a 45mm nut. I don't know what you guys think about a natural top finish, but I think on these sort of sloped shoulder guitars it looks really classic, and it always brings to mind James Taylor's guitar that he used on Sweet Baby James when I see something like this. I think it's got something about it. There's a place for all of this stuff, but yeah, I think that's got, we sort of tint the top so it looks like it's vintage. So it's got like this amber finish on it, but that to me looks like it's been around for 50 or 60 years. And I think that's got a nice warmth about it. It works well with the large tortoise shell pickguard as well, I think. On this guitar we've got the Indian rosewood fingerboard and bridge again. So this guitar's got a 43mm nut and a 55mm String spacing. Again, this one has the African mahogany back and sides and neck, and it's got the cream binding on it. It's got our thin nitro aged finish. The camera doesn't always pick this up, but you can see the checking in there. It doesn't automatically look like an aged guitar when you see it from a distance. When you pick it up and look closely, you can sort of feel and see the cracking, but you can also feel how thin it and light the guitar is. And it's got 6mm pearl dots up the fretboard. Again, it has the Clouson 3-a-side tuners, aged in-house, and the maple ebonized head veneer with our gold logos. Finally, we're going to look at this guitar here, which is a bit of an unusual one for us. Candy Apple Red. I think there's something quite special about that on an acoustic guitar. I think when we built this, we thought, well, let's make that for stock. And it's often my hope that we'll throw something interesting in and a dealer will get on board. Candy Apple Red on acoustic guitars, I haven't seen it a great deal over the years from other makers. When you heavy age one of these, a Candy Apple has a gold underbass, so you can sort of see the gold working behind the red, and I think that's a really nice feature on a heavy aged guitar. This guitar's going to the Music Emporium in Boston. It's also got the 45mm nut, which is a nice feature for those people who do like to play a wider neck. There's no extra charge for that with us. You also get the 57mm string spacing at the bridge as well. The back and sides are the African mahogany, as is the neck. But on this one, it's got Santos rosewood on the fingerboard and bridge. And you can see there that it's a little bit lighter and sort of more golden perhaps. And in some ways, it's a little bit more reminiscent of Brazilian rosewood with that sort of lightness of colour, depending on which Brazilian you see. But this one has also been heavy aged. It doesn't matter what we do, if we show heavy aged guitar on YouTube or on our social media, there will always be people who are very upset about it. So I'd encourage you to get on the comments and tell us how much you like this guitar or how much you don't like it, because I'm wondering one day whether that tip will change and more people actually like it than hate it. And I think that's coming soon, actually. The way we do that is to really try and get an idea of what a guitar goes through over a lifetime. And some people will buy actual vintage guitars and they haven't got any damage on them. And then you'll see other sort of same era, the same year, and they're covered in all sorts of marks. We do our best to give it that vibe that makes it look and feel like an old guitar. We roll the edge of the fingerboard, and I think that's something that a lot of people pick up on. They might not realise why they like it, but actually it's incredibly comfortable. So that's a nice feature of a heavy aged instrument. So this has a candy apple top, but we can do the whole body in candy and the neck, as can we do really any colour that you care to mention. We've done a lot of gold versions of this. We've done some Pelham blue versions, lots of pinks and surf greens. It's really up to you what you'd like, so let us know. And you can go to your local dealer and order that through them, or get in touch with us and we'll put you in touch with the dealer and hook that deal up. So we're going to get Paul in now and try these guitars out, and hopefully we'll see if one stands out, then you can tell us which one you like the most. I really like these. And part of the reason I really like them is because I think they're really intimate and they sort of sound like records that I listen to.
Yeah.
I'm hearing a lot of those sort of Americana folk singers that use this sort of stuff, and because they're not overpowering, I mean, I'm not going to start singing to you, but I think they're really good for accompanying with a voice.
They're really light.
Yeah.
And that transfers itself into how they sound.
Yeah, it's sort of intimate, isn't it?
Mm.
Yeah. There seem to be 1,000 songs under there, don't there?
Yeah.
I think that's why I've gotten into these so much. I've always been into songwriting, and that for me is the essence of it. It sort of brings out some really nice suspended chords in there as well, and open strings, and just sits really nicely. This one's got the wider fingerboard as well. Yeah. I personally don't get on with a wider fingerboard if I play for too long.
I don't mind the wider fingerboard, so having quite a lot of guitars, I've got used to both. I mean, I use the thumb a lot, so if you use your thumb a lot, you might then need to think about whether you go for a 45 or a 43 possibly.
Yeah, so that's the aged version and the heavy aged version. It's difficult to know what I'm picking up. Should we swap and see whether you feel you can hear something different when you're playing it? That feels a bit bolder to me. I don't know whether you... Does it feel drier?
I think it's got a little bit more punch to it.
Yeah.
A tiny bit, but I don't know if that's something because you said it. Or
I know. It's difficult, isn't it? I mean,
they're very close.
Yeah.
I'm not finding the wider nut too much of an issue for me, just from going straight from that to that.
I think if you're playing that sort of stuff, it's all right. I think that it becomes an issue perhaps more if you're barring stuff for long periods of time. I don't know. I mean, I remember playing in some sort of Irish type session where I was called in to play and the chords were quite complicated, and the only way I could get around it was by barring stuff. Yeah. And by the end of the night, I was like, oh, geez, that's kind of more than I anticipated. So if we get the natural top one out and sort of hear the two. It sounds quite live and jangly. I think that, to me, that just feels drier or something like that. With the two different finishes, do you feel like that feels like an older guitar? If you were to sort of... It might be a good thing to do to actually do a blindfold test with two at some point, like a new, an aged and a heavy aged version.
I mean, I don't think there's a huge disparity between the neck. I mean, there's obviously a few little nicks here and there to sort of go in line with the heavy aged finish. But obviously the necks have got a lot more in common than the bodies do in terms of what the finish.
Yeah,
so
yeah. No, it's... I think another thing people might ask is about the pickguard and whether it restricts the sound of the guitar. I personally don't think with this sort of thickness, 0.7 of a millimetre thick, this stuff, I don't think it restricts the top. Around this sort of area here, I'm not convinced that there's loads of sound coming out of there anyway.
Solid area, isn't it?
Yeah.
On the joint, so.
I think what I have noticed is when you go for the heavily pickguards, then it does change the sound. And I can't remember whether that was something that people actually, whether they wanted in a way to sort of get their voices to carry more. Yeah. Sort of the guitar sort of dulls down a bit, but I'm not noticing that on these at all.
Remember the Everly you made for my dad for his birthday a couple of years ago? We obviously had an older one from many years ago, which is what he did to get him another one. Yeah. And the thickness of the gut, hasn't hampered it. It's very vibrant. So if you use the right material. Yeah, exactly. I think on some of our guitars we use a much thicker pickguard material, which looks cool, but it does change the sound of the guitar. To sum up, I'm not sure that I could sort of, between these two, I'm feeling like they're very similar.
I'm noticing a little bit more dryness in that. It's very difficult to know whether that's just in your head a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Let me have another go on it. Boldness there that is a little bit different, I think. And I've always found that the heavy aged thing seems to change it somehow. Maybe that makes no sense at all, but it seems to do it. 3 LG47s of various colours and feel and age. Let us know what you think. Please like and subscribe to our channel. Please comment away. We'll try and answer everything that we can. It helps us get more of our videos out there if you do like and subscribe. It helps the YouTube algorithm. Thanks for watching, and check out some of our other videos. Thank you.